What's up, vapors? Thanks for checking out Daily Vape TV. My name is Nick, and today we're going to be taking a look at the Elfie RTA. Alright guys, so next up in the series on the Coil-Master-RTAs, we've got this one right here. This is the Elfie, with a big shout out, of course, going to Coil-Master for sending these my way for the purpose of making this video. So taking a quick look online, this device is available in two different finishes. You have the black version and the stainless version. Obviously you can see I got the black version here, and it's going to run you about $25, which is really inexpensive if you ask me. If you're looking for just a replacement tank for a stock coil tank or something like that, you just want to get a really quick and easy build single coil tank, this one would definitely be worth a look. And if you want to pick one up for yourself, I'll leave links right down there in the description below. Alright guys, as you can see here, we've got the Elfie RTA in its original box, so let's quickly take a look around the packaging and then we'll talk about what's inside. So, Elfie RTA with a bunch of silhouettes of tanks on the front with a tiny bit of spot gloss there, as you can see. Nice little graphic design touch, and I do like that. Coil-Master on this side, Coil-Master on this side, and on the back we have a little graphic of the tank itself. We have the kit contents. We have a color indication sticker over here. Mine is black, so it's probably going to be really difficult to see that, but we also have the scratch-off authentication and the UPC there. So let's go ahead and pop the top and see what we get. Of course, the little Coil-Master giveaway card thing that we saw in the Ray Tank video. There we go. We have a very small quick start guide, if you will. Just a really basic look there. Really not much content with this one here. We have a little bit of cotton. So they supply you with your first couple wicks of cotton there. We have, of course, the tank itself, the Elfie, and an extra piece of glass in case you break it. And the parts baggie has a little Allen key, a couple sets of, or a set of Clapton coils, a full set of O-rings, and a couple of replacement screws as well. So there you go. Alright guys, let's go over the specs. It's 23 millimeters in diameter. It holds 2.5 mils of juice. It has a threaded top fill with 2 large fill ports, 2-post build deck, single coil design, dual slotted terminals, 1 per post, 1.5 by 2 millimeter terminal slots, top mounted hex screws, air slots built into posts, centrally located between terminals, 4 millimeter by 4 millimeter. Dual 2.5 millimeter diameter wicking ports with peak insulation, dual adjustable bottom air slot, 10 millimeter by 1 millimeter. It comes with a 7 millimeter bore black Ultem drip tip, 510 drip tip compatible, 304 stainless steel and glass construction, and it has a gold plated 510 contact. Alright guys, let's go over the Elfie from top to bottom as we normally do. Starting off with the drip tip here. It's just a very simple black Ultem drip tip. According to the specs, it's black Ultem. I'm really not sure what that means exactly. I've never seen black Ultem in person, but I guess that's what they call it here. It looks like Delrin to me, but hey, what do I know? Anyways, as you can see down the bore there, it is on the narrower side. Personally, not a huge fan of this tip, mostly because of how skinny it is and how short it is, so I'm going to be personally swapping it out with my own tip right away. But as far as it coming loose or anything like that, no complaints in that department. So as you can see, there's no O-ring inside this little slot here where the drip tip goes. It's held in by just the drip tip's O-rings itself, but no complaints there whatsoever. Top cap has a little ridge on it, but otherwise nothing too fancy going on there. And when we take off this top cap section here, we can see the fill ports, very generous fill ports, no problems filling this thing whatsoever. And there's an O-ring right on the inside there to prevent any leaking. Here you can see the one-piece chamber section, which is attached to the upper top cap section with a little Coil-Master logo on it. This is also anodized, so it just kind of gives it a little bit of a different look there. But yeah, you can see a slight chamfer on the inside, but nothing else to report in that department. The glass is nice and sturdy and thick. No complaints about the glass whatsoever. Really feel like it's not going to break overnight or anything like that. And here's the build deck. As you can see, it's a 2-post single coil design. Plenty of room for wire in the post holes themselves, and you can see the airflow right down the middle there, as well as the wicking ports on the sides. Super easy to wick this thing. It's sort of GTA style where you just tuck the wicks in and trim your cotton from underneath. It's just sort of that elevated build deck situation, which is kind of nice. Very easy to build this thing, no complaints about that. However, the build deck itself, the machining on it is a little bit rough. I could have used a little bit more polish on there, and I think that would have been a little bit nicer. But you can see the airflow slots at the side here, which are fully opened and fully closed like that. Plenty of airflow going on with this one here. And on the bottom, we have the Elfie logo, and designed and manufactured by Coil-Master right there with the gold-plated 510 pin. All right, so that about does it for this little close-up section. Let's go back to the main screen, have a quick vape on this thing, and we'll talk about it some more. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed the close-up section of the video. Now let's talk about my personal thoughts about this device, some pros, some cons, and whether or not it's worth purchasing. Starting off today with the pros, and my first pro is that it looks good on smaller devices. Now, personally, I went with the CB60 to put this thing on top of, and I think it looks pretty darn good. It fits fairly flush, it doesn't really overhang by any means, and I think it matches with the overall kind of look that the CB60 is kind of going for here. It's just a nice, small, little single-coil RTA. It doesn't take up a whole lot of power, and it works really, really nicely on here. But for me personally, I feel like it's going to look good on a lot of your smaller devices out there. My second pro today is that it looks really nice. This is a good looking tank, just like the Ray RTA that we talked about. This one has very simplistic and minimalistic engravings, but it has an overall sort of classy feel to it. I really like the attention to detail here with this little tiny Coil-Master logo at the top. All these little kind of, you know, just little accents there. That really does it for me. It just kind of looks nice. It's not overdone. It's not really blown out with a bunch of, you know, crazy engravings all over this thing or anything like that. It's just very simple, and that's what I really like about it. And for my third and final pro, this one is really easy to build and wick, and at the end of the day, I feel like that is the most important factor when it comes to an RTA. I want something that I could just kind of throw a coil in there, wick it up real quick, and be vaping in a matter of a few minutes. And with this little single coil here, you can absolutely get that done, no problem whatsoever. It took me a total of maybe 5 minutes to throw a coil in this thing, and I was ready to go, ready to vape, and I gotta say, that's really what I look for in an RTA. Alright guys, so moving on to the cons, my first con is the drip tip that it comes with is absolutely tiny. Now, with the Ray RTA that we looked at, the drip tip was a little bit wider, and it was a little bit wider bore as well. This one here, I think that what they were going for is, since it was a single coil, they wanted to narrow down the bore a little bit, but they just made the drip tip so small it's almost uncomfortable to vape on. So what I immediately did was just take that off and use my own Half Moon Mods tip, as you can see here, and that works a hell of a lot better. Not only does it widen the bore up just a little bit, but it also feels a lot more comfortable as well. It's just a little bit chunkier and bigger, and for me personally, that's a lot better than the one that comes with it. My second con today is the low juice capacity. This one holds only 2.5 mils of liquid, and for me personally, that's just not going to cut it. Honestly, I go through that in about 45 minutes to an hour at the most, and that's just not going to pass the long drive test no matter what. Even with a single coil, it still drinks a little bit of juice, and you're going to be filling this thing about 5-6 times a day. And my third and final con for this one is the airflow is a little bit restricted and on the noisier side. Now, I can understand the restriction of the airflow because it is a single coil RTA, and maybe some people would want to rock this with a little less airflow, but with that, as soon as you cut off the airflow one bit, this thing gets really, really loud, and just have a listen for yourself. So as you can see, it does get a little bit loud, and it's definitely annoying if you're vaping on this thing all day long. So at the end of the day, is this device worth purchasing? Would I go out of my way to pick one of these up if I didn't get this one in for a review? And I'm going to say no to this one, just like the Ray RTA, but, you know, there's a few things I like about it, like the build deck and the ease of use and all that stuff. Super nice looking device, but for a couple of bucks more, you're talking about something like the Watofo Serpent or the Vape Merlin Mini, something like that. That's a much better engineered device, much better functioning, and it's just a couple of bucks more, so why not spend the extra cash? But if you do want to purchase one of these for yourself, I'll leave links right down there in the description below. So that about does it for this video, guys. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe for more videos just like this. Don't forget to click that notification bell right next to the subscribe button if you want to be alerted whenever I upload videos. Also, leave me some comments down there in the box below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the Elfie RTA or anything else you guys want to discuss down there. Don't forget to also check out the description of this video. That's where you're going to find the advocacy and my social media links. Thank you guys so much for tuning in, and as always, vape on.